Hello everyone, welcome back to addendum episode of the Beginner's Guide to Support in Arena. Now, this is half a response to Gaming Dualities, who left an extremely excellent comment on the original, which is the Smite Beginner's Guide to Support in Arena, pointing out that I build like I'm playing Conquest to some extent in Arena, and this is half correct, but there is a specific reason for that. Then Gaming Dualities does throw out a bunch of items that are extremely effective in Arena, some of them contextual that I feel are being generalized in the comment, but often very useful as well. And I do intend on tackling, some of these as well. But the main thing that I wanted to talk about was the comment that I build like I do in Conquest, and the answer to that is yes, to some extent. The reason why is because I choose very often the Sentinel's Gift as my starter item, and there's a very specific reason for that. It does, in fact, allow me to get away with building like I'm in Conquest. Now, throughout my beginner's guides, through all of them, I have always advocated for customizing your build to the needs of both your team and the demands of what the enemy will call upon you. For example, the enemy here has 2 magic and 3 physical, so I know I'm going to want to push physical a little bit. They have a Guan Yu as well, so I know he's going to be reducing protections, so maybe I want to splash a Gauntlet of Thebes. But for starters, Sentinel's Gift gives you gold, which is what allows me to build like I'm in Conquest without any kind of serious penalty. Now I'm going to be building here again because I want Sentinel's Embrace late game to help against Guan Yu's protection reduction, as well as Ardio's protection reduction. I think these are going to really hurt my team, and this is something I wanted to prevent, so I'm going to go into Gauntlet of Thebes, I'm going to build Blink, and this is what we're going to run with. Now, in this particular circumstance, I could theoretically build Shogun's Kusari, something Gaming Dualities mentioned as being a just broadly useful aura, which is true. Artemis uses auto attacks, Gilgamesh can use auto attacks, but at this point in time, this early in the game, I'm not going to be looking necessarily at Shogun's Kusari until I know where he's taking his build. If I see he's going into auto attacks, and I see that Ratatoskir might feasibly also be doing so, maybe I would build that. If not, if Gilgamesh and Ratatoskir both go into ability focus rather than a focus on auto attacks, then I would not want Shogun's Kusari, because the only person benefiting will really be Artemis, because everyone else's auto attacks are going to be weaker for having not focused on the auto attacks in the first place. So that is something that I want to mention there. There are a couple of other instances. For example, Voidstone was mentioned as being very useful to help your mages do more damage, which is true, but the only other magic source that we have on the team other than myself is Anubis, so it would be unwise to build Voidstone here, and Gaming Dualities would agree with me, I'm sure. But my point to this is not to put down what Gaming Dualities suggested, because Gaming Dualities is correct on all fronts. These are all excellent items for these specific scenarios. The problem I have is the implication that these are some kind of consistent, always builds... shoot. I spread that to my allies unnecessarily. That these are things that are always built in every arena game, and that's not true, which I'm sure Gaming Dualities also agrees with me on. It is not true. And it is something that I don't want new players to maybe read that and be confused that these are things that should always 100% of the time be built. But this goes back to my disagreement of the suggestion that there is a support meta. To some extent there is, that's obviously undeniable, but the meta, in my opinion, should only be what gods are effective in the role in this specific situation, not so much the items, because, again, I'll reiterate this because I personally find it very important. What you build should be adjusted to the specific scenario. Again, I'm building Gauntlet of Thebes here. I wouldn't normally build Gauntlet of Thebes against a physical heavy team like this. I would just build Sovereignty and move on. My problem here with the enemy team is both Guan Yu and Artio both reduce protections, which is not something that I want my team to necessarily be massively exposed to, so the more I can buff their protections, the better. since they only have 2 sources of magic damage, I'm going to skip Heart Ward in favor of building something else, obviously, because I don't want to be spending an item slot on Heart Ward when they only have the 2 sources of magic damage, and Artio is building hybrid at best, so she's not even going to be necessarily hitting that hard anyways. So I don't want to spend necessarily a lot of time with Heart Ward on the table either. So that is something else we will be talking about as the time comes. But again, I might still be building, we're going to have to do something drastic with this. I might go into Shogun's Kusari, I might not, it really depends on what my allies do with their builds, and I don't need to check that yet. I'm still working on Sovereignty. I'll be checking that after I'm done with Sovereignty, just to see, just to see what they're doing, and to try to anticipate that a little bit better. I don't have my stacks fully yet. But that is my response to that. Gaming Dualities lists a bunch of really useful items, and lists, quite correctly, the contexts in which they would be useful, but unfortunately, because of how the comment is phrased, it does sound like Gaming Dualities is saying that these are built in every arena game every time. And this matches a prime example of why that's not necessarily true, and I just wanted to make sure that new players who read the comment, and they should, because it's an excellent comment, understand that those items have a context which is listed in the comment, but that they need to be careful with the context as well. And to some extent, the context is a matter of, practice, of playing the game and figuring out, or better understanding context. For example, a new player might not necessarily know that Guan Yu reduces protections until they've played Guan Yu, or somebody has sat down and told them. So the potential risk of Guan Yu causing problems for your team as a support could be unanswered by you as a support because you just don't know, right? So that's just something I want to make people aware of. Okay, that went terribly. So now we're going to check what is Ratatoskir building. Ratatoskir is building towards abilities. Gilgamesh seems to be building possibly towards attack speed, but we're not sure. One thing that would be useful that I am going to be building is actually Talisman of Energy, and there's a specific reason why I'm going to be building this over Shogun's Kusari. First, Gilgamesh already has Shogun's Kusari, which is fine. I'm not necessarily sure we need Shogun's Kusari, but what we do need just as much is movement speed. Because, Artemis does not have any kind of escape. First off, neither does Anubis. Both of these characters just run. So if I can increase their running speed through the use of Talisman of Energy, that's a really good thing for both of them, as well as increasing the auto attack speed of Artemis and Gilgamesh, who seems to be leaning towards that in the first place. So I get to pull multiple duty. Even if Gilgamesh wasn't building Shogun's Kusari, I still wouldn't build Shogun's Kusari, because it doesn't offer my team enough to justify that. But Talisman of Energy does offer my team the kind of stats they need to successfully either escape or attack, depending on the context. And that is what your job as a support is. So, Talisman of Energy, yes, but personally, I would not have built Shogun's Kusari even if Gilgamesh hadn't built Shogun's Kusari. I just don't think this team can use Shogun's Kusari in the way that enough to justify the purchase of it. And that's just something I will be disagreeing with. That's just something I disagree with Guan Yu about. I'm not Guan Yu. I keep calling him Guan Yu. Gilgamesh about, which is fine. He builds his way. If that's how he finds Gilgamesh useful, that's fine. I just personally disagree with that, and that's fine. That is completely justified. I understand why he's building it. I agree with his base motivation. I just don't think he doesn't necessarily have to worry about the team at large either, does he? He's a warrior. He's not a support, so he doesn't necessarily have to care, but I do. I am a support. Part of my job description is caring for what my allies can and cannot use, and therefore, to that extent, I would not have built Shogun's Kusari. Alright. So that's really, why it's fine for Gilgamesh to build it, but not fine for me. Now that I've got Talisman of Energy, I'm going to want some form of anti-heal. Let me see how exactly I want to approach that anti-heal. I'm not sure yet. That wasn't quite... Oh, that was good, though. I thank you. Okay, good. And I think I can stop you from leaving. No, I can't. You are moving way too fast for me. I'm gonna die here. No, Ratatoskir came to save my life. I stopped you long enough, and I didn't even mean to. She just turned around to attack me, and that was her mistake. So, I have to decide whether I want physical anti-heal or magical anti-heal. I'm going to go with magic anti-heal because I want Breastplate of Valor for the cooldowns. That will help me help my allies more. Again, we don't have enough magic damage to justify Voidstone. I could go into Mystical Mail, but we don't need damage. We have enough damage on the team. So we're going to we'll actually go ahead and get Pestilence first because my magic protections are a little lower than my physical, and then we'll get Breastplate of Valor as my final item. Now, I could also have built Witchblade, but again, they don't really have enough auto-attacking to justify that. They have Scotty, if she's even building auto-attack in the first place, which she seems to be. And that's really it. No one else on their team is really heavily relying on auto-attacks. So it would be kind of moot to build Witchblade for just one person. So we will not be building for just one person. Because it's just, my team could not use that effectively enough. That was a mistake. I just killed Artemis. I just killed Artemis totally by accident. I thought she had her ult for some reason. I could have just simply... she got her ult right afterwards. Oh, come on. I mistimed that badly. That was entirely on me. Oop, I'm sliding into next week. Alright. Oh, Ratatoskir. Are we going in on this or nah? I mean, I'm game for it. Alright. I don't need that. He does, but I don't. Alright. They can deal with the Minotaur for a second. I need to go grab my Breastplate of Valor. Alright. Now, Gaming Dualities did mention something that I don't think I mentioned properly in the previous episode, and that is that auras are huge in Arena, which is 100% true. You rarely can go wrong with aura botting. But it is also important you make sure you build the right auras. And you'll notice that the only item that I'm building that does not have some sort of aura is, in fact, Breastplate of Valor, and that is specifically because I want the cooldown reduction to help my allies more, because obviously Xingqian's auto attacks are completely worthless. I mean, I have my ult in 3 seconds. So we're going to lure them as close as possible. Y'all coming? Y'all coming? No? Cowards. He's going in. There we go. And then they're all gathered up right here. There we go. And then she dies. That's exactly perfect. Okay, now I'm going to go back and finish my Breastplate of Valor. And then we're going to start saving up for Sentinel's Embrace. Now, keep in mind, again, I have Sentinel's Gift. I can afford a lot of this stuff. I'm also healing off of every minion assist that I get, and I'm getting gold off of them, and I get a little bit of protections, and I'll have the very useful aura. Now, keep in mind that I am playing specifically against a specific group. Now, if there was an abnormally large amount of self-heal on the enemy team, like, say, for example, they had Hell instead of Guan Yu, I would consider building, Tainted Steel, and then building cheaper items. For example, I wouldn't necessarily go into Breastplate of Valor, I might go into something a little cheaper, as an example. Although, quite honestly, most protection items are pretty cheap to begin with, so that's rarely a problem for supports in the first place. He was greedy. I feel that. I've been there. But yeah, overall, you would want to go for slightly cheaper items if you aren't building Sentinel's Gift. And then, again, it depends partially on context. I know when I evolve this is going to be something I'm really going to want. Holy cow, they're really slapping. That Artio really got me killed. Oh, well. We have Sentinel's Embrace now. So that's good enough. That's nonsense. But yes, I just wanted to make this episode to specifically talk about that. Not only Gaming Dualities comment, which, again, just as one final iteration, newer players should read because it provides a bunch of items in the context they are most useful. But I just wanted to make sure that people weren't misunderstanding the comment, because the way it's phrased does make it sound like these should be built by every support everywhere all the time, when that's not necessarily true. There is a situation for every item. You have to just understand the situation as it is being presented to you, and that you build properly to counteract that situation. There we go. I don't think we can do anything with that. Wasn't there? No, that was... Okay, cleared out already. Hello, goodbye. Nope. Oh, no problem. Don't worry about it, Tusker. Gonna try to make sure he gets out alive. Okay, the enemy team has agreed to a surrender. That's perfect, because I really didn't have anything else to talk about this episode. But yes, that's... I just wanted an episode to really make sure that that was understood. I do thank Gaming Dualities for an excellent comment, really excellently summarizing... Okay, my game just crashes. Excellently summarizing the situation, you know, the whole context there. But that is all I really wanted to say. So thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much for the comment, Gaming Dualities. It was an excellent comment. I just felt like it needed some clarification, as well as why I build in Arena the way I do. And thank you all very much for joining me. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, ideas, suggestions, or requests, yeah, just leave them in the comment section below. And thank you all very much for it. And have a great 24 hours.